that's why if you have money, and if God is so faithful to you and you so faithful to us, sandoita sei kuti woguma kusangana nezvimwe zvinhu zvinoguma zvakutokuitisa mimwe minyama isingaiti. You get the point?
Right.
So I believe if people are equipped, and capacitated to have, financial freedom, you have you have a wide array of choice, and you focus on praising God. And if you are fasting, you are not fasting kuti amarika. You are not always complaining. Do you know there are people who are so prayerful and spiritual, so faithful to their wives, faithful to their husbands, and who are full of love?
Yes.
But their prayer points are full of complaints. But why me go?
Profound.
Yeah.
If you're not paying tithe because you're saying you don't have money, sell something. That's what the doctor is saying here. You need to be a person of substance. You need to be a person of substance. Now, doctor, what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur or a successful person in business?
So it is very complicated, but I believe being successful is beyond money. There are so many people who are so successful, but they're not millionaires. That's what I've realized in this short life. I might be wrong.
Okay.
But being successful is when you have that money, but if you go to sleep at peace with your Creator, that's what I believe. At peace with those who are around you and with your community. So if you don't have money now, using that definition, if you don't have money, believe me, you won't be at peace with those who are around you sometimes. Because you realize that even those who are your relatives, remember a poor man will become, if you are to take Proverbs, if you are poor, even your enemies, your relatives, they won't even like you.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's good now to be equipped and to be just financially, to have that financial freedom. And so that those who are around you also, you can they can be also happy. You can provide for them. The most painful thing as a man, I'm talking about peace with your Creator. I believe that's whilst leaving legacy in the process. That's true success. That's what I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Talking about business, we are talking about the entrepreneur. But what is the difference between business and a person who is self-employed? When we are saying sell something, has this person started a business when they are selling something? Or it's being self-employed? What's the difference? And should someone build something for them to say, now I am actually in business?
So, being in business, you can still be in business and being self-employed. It's still business. Right. But being an entrepreneur, I believe, is different. So, we have people who are in business, but they are also self-employed. They create a company so that they can get money for hand to mouth, for day-to-day upkeep. But if you are now an entrepreneur, remember you create, the purpose of entrepreneur is something out of nothing.
Right.
So you are creating value, and that value will benefit others. It's now going beyond you. That's why I always say to people, if you have a business, it then ceases to be your money and your own only. So if my companies, I always say I'm responsibility for my team members, their welfare, and I have responsibility for my society as well. That's why we also pay school fees for a lot of kids. We have a lot of kids that we pay school fees for. Some who are in primary schools, in high school, at universities. Why? Because it's a responsibility that goes beyond what? Beyond me as a person.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Doctor. For those that have questions, please prepare your questions, because we will reserve the last few minutes of this discussion for your questions, and the doctor is here to address those questions. Now, should businesses contribute to their community? Is this important? This is literally sharing profits with your community, or the money that you make, everything that comes into business is yours and the spoils are yours.
Yeah, of course. That's why initially when we were saying it's important for people to be equipped, so that people are the children of God, so that they are fruitful. And I would be so happy to see a lot of, children of God, people who are starting with this church and in other churches, Christians, making it in business. Can you imagine the impact? Is not to big give up. If the moment they will come to church, things will change.
Yes.
So the ripple effect is just massive. It goes beyond the spiritual well-being of people. So it's important for people to then be equipped and have that mindset of business. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. That's deep. Now let me put you on the spot a little bit here. You mentioned that if we have 10 big business people, I know you're such a humble person, you didn't include yourself in those 10, but I believe you're number 9 on those 10. Need people who can help us. We actually have our own homegrown solutions if we develop people in business, and if the people in business actually give to those churches, to those communities. Is this part of the drive that you're talking about? Or maybe I've gone too political for you.
No, not even. You know, if you are to check at Africa, the role of the government, I know maybe many people may not agree. The role of the government is not to create jobs only. The major role of government is to create an ecosystem that is conducive for entrepreneurs to flourish in the economy. That's the role of the government. So if we have the proper ecosystem in this country that is conducive, do you know many people that we think maybe they are not doing so well and this one bad business decision, if they, do you know, Pastor, if you are to be in South Africa right now, I know they're in Africa, so I'm using them as an example. If you're in South Africa, it's easy for you to prosper. Why? Because you can go to the bank and you get a loan. So the government is not giving anyone money, but the environment is conducive. And it's breeding that ecosystem that will then propel anyone who starts something to prosper in that economy. Anyone who, if you start a car rental company, you start with one, you go to the bank and you say, you know what, I want to have 50 of these. And the bank will give you all the money because the cars, they are in the bank's assets, I mean, you know, as collateral. So automatically you do that. But here in Zimbabwe, you have to fund everything from your own. You know, but so Africa is not built by the government. The government, they just provide conducive ecosystem and policies that then breed entrepreneurs. So if the government is not doing that, our role is not to complain. Unless if you want to get into politics, it's still good to have Christians who are in politics as well. But if you want to remain in business, I believe our role is to say, okay, this is what is there. So what is it that I can do with the few resources that are there? So that you start from somewhere. Because everyone starts from somewhere. So if there's no capital, you have to also start from somewhere. So if you are to have many entrepreneurs, the example of Strive Masio, the likes of Philip Mataranyika, if you are to have many people like that in this economy, do you know we become a multi-billion-dollar economy? Our GDP will leapfrog. But it's not like that because most entrepreneurs, we are thinking of just bread and butter issues. We are thinking about today. There's no longevity. I was so privileged, man of God. I posted it online. I love writing and posting to encourage others and stuff. I had the privilege about 3 weeks ago. I had a meeting with Mr. Peach, the owners of the Peach wholesalers. They are now in many businesses now. He's 81 years. So we had, you know, a chat at length. And we were talking about, and he was saying good things, they require patience. But the challenge with you guys, people of your kind, us black people, we want things to manifest now, through that microwave. And you start a construction company today, and you want to be like Masimba. But Masimba Construction have been, Mariah and Roberts, they've been there for over 50 years. So there's no patience. You are not thinking of longevity. So at the end of the day, our economy is in tatters. Why? Because even the private sector is not contributing to the fiscus so that at least we do well. Yes, I understand the government, maybe the policies, they are not conducive. But still, there's some entrepreneurs who are making it in this economy. So what is it that you can do even at small scale so that at least you also pay your taxes? Because it's your duty to also pay taxes so that you can also contribute to also support someone. If I take someone to school, if they complete their studies, maybe that person will take other 10 people to school. So if you continue, if you do that now, Zimbabwe will become maybe, upper middle income economy. So it's not the government, but it's the private sector. It's all of us who are here. That's what I believe. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much. Now, your faith in Christ, Doctor, versus ethical success in today's business environment, how would you say being a Christian has contributed or has complicated your operating in the current environment that we are in? I didn't want to mention the word corruption, but let me not mention it anyways.
Yeah.
But you've heard it.
Yeah. So, men of God, I've realized that the Bible is it teaches entrepreneurship in different ways. So it depends on the level. I've read it also, and if you are to check, you'd find that you can learn a lot as an entrepreneur. If you are to look even the parable of the talents that we were talking about, each one according to his or her ability, that's how they were given. And God expected them to be productive. So if you are given 2, you are expected to produce 4. But many times we complain, citing economy, citing these examples, different reasons. So in this same economy, someone was given 2 talents.
Yes.
And they will say, you know what, our government is nonsense. They will say our policies, they are not making sense. Then they will bury their talents. It's still the same.
Right.
You will try to be spiritual about it, but you won't convince me. God gave us the same talents. Someone who is in South Africa, someone who is in the US. Life is so unfair, but God is fair. He's so fair. So you still give you the same talent. Someone was given 5 talents in South Africa, and someone was given 2 talents still in Zimbabwe. But he still expects you to multiply those talents to 4. But what is happening? The people in Zimbabwe, we are complaining because of the economy.
Okay.
We are not saying, okay, God, this is the economy, but I understand I'm not governed by the economy. I'm governed by your word.
Yes.
So then you start multiplying from there.
Right.
Why? Because business and spirituality is not, there's a thin line. Even if you're a Christian or if you're not a Christian, if you're a Muslim or an unbeliever, it's still the same.
Right.
Why? Because I've studied so carefully to people who are billionaires and millionaires who are not Christians at all. Just study and you see a pattern. They give a lot.
Right.
I'm telling you, and the common denominator of those people is not only giving. Because someone might say, you want to give, I don't have the money.
Yes.
The common denominator, man of God, is faith. Even those who are not Christians, I'm telling you the truth, common denominator on all of them is faith. What am I saying? You see, those people, what they do, if there's a tender, they will submit, not even if they've never submitted something like that before, without knowing anyone, they will submit. I'm
Right,
telling you,
right.
if faith, I'm telling you the truth, that's faith.
Faith.
Apana munhu anosubmita chinhu asingafungi kuti achawina. You get the point?
Right.
So these people, they submit what they have faith to, you know what, I will get it. And they'll be so, if you talk to them, they are so confident to say, you know what, I'm going to win this tender. Do you know there are people who are non-believer,
Yes.
That's true. But sometimes we always think, I know what, yes, life is spiritual. You say that you're a Christian, it's black and white. I don't think so. I've seen people who don't do that, but are we church? Yeah. So faith is the common denominator. So for everything that you are doing, if you are here, for everything that you are doing, don't doubt yourself. Let other people doubt you, but for you, don't doubt yourself.
Yes.
Have that faith, to say, you know what, there's a tender for 2 million, and I'm going to submit. I'll give you a short story, about this faith. When Apostle gave me a word some few years ago in church, we had a construction company, and I remember so vividly at Parkland, he gave me a word and say, you know what, something's going to happen. No, let me go back. In 2013, he gave me a word. The first word, that I got it, Rainbow Towers, for Marketplace Millionaires. That's why this program, I value it so much. I remember Dr. Shingi Mnyeza was on the panel, on the hotspot.
Yes.
Then Apostle was now praying for people. Then he said, you know what, you are going to be a property baron.
I remember that.
Back then, I had not yet bought my own house. I'm telling you, what I only had was a stand.
Right.
And he said, you are going to be a property baron. And my net worth was way lesser than 1 million. And I was not even that, I didn't know many people in church. I was still fairly new.
Right.
And he said, you are going to be a property baron. And you know, I first felt, but for me, he said it because in my heart, more than 10 years ago when I was a young boy, I told myself that if I fail to own a minimum of 100 houses, it's not God, it's me.
Okay. Wow.
I'm telling you, in my name, it will be not God. If I fail to build at least 3 churches, it's not God again on my own. It's me.
Right.
But my mother didn't have a house in the urban areas. My father didn't have a house then when I was talking about that. But fast forward, then I met the man of God and he affirmed, to say, you know what, you are going to be a proper baron. And he gave an example, say, barons stains all over.
Yes.
But yourself, you are going to be a proper baron. And fast forward, I believed it. I didn't have a construction company. Then we formed a construction company. Fast forward, after we formed the construction company, partnership, the 3 of us. Then he gave me a word to say, you are going to have some challenges with your partners.
Right.
And I'm giving you an advice and it's for your good. It's for you to grow.
Yes.
That challenge will push you away from your company. So I thought it was the company, the institute, that I was partnering with a partner who is in South Africa, a white lady.
Right.
She's the CEO of our institute. So we are different in terms of our thought process.
Yes.
They think longevity, as we are thinking today, because of background. Back then, I wasn't this, I'm converted now. So I thought, I know, that's what I was talking about. But fast forward, there are some challenges with my partners. Just a minor misunderstandings. Then I walked away. I left everything, including some stands in Hatfield. Some stands that were about around 40-something stands. I walked away from those. Even the assets that we had, I walked away. Not because they are bad people. We are now good friends right now, very good friends. Yes. And I said, you know what, guys, I'm walking away, take everything after that misunderstanding. And I opened a new company, a new construction company, a year later. The day I registered that company, say, we want to give you, not the current one, I'm just talking, we want to give you a project and we want to work with you. And I said, yes. Okay. So they said, we saw a post on Facebook. And it was one of our first posts. Here we have a target number of properties that we have to buy. Yes. And to the extent that we also, at a level where we can also donate, say, okay, we are donating this tent to not only to this church, but to even others. You get the point? Yes. Or you can have a vision to say, okay, I want to build this person a house. You know, you can have that vision. It's so possible. Why? Because a man of God declared such a platform. So it's so possible. Can you imagine just a simple person like me who didn't have anything? So there are many people who are raised in better families, who are coming in better background, who can do even way, way more.
We give an example. If I want to talk to, I won't mention their names, 5 top CEOs in this country, I know I can actually come to you and say, Doc, can you please link me up with these top 5 CEOs? But I know there's someone in this church who might actually be dreaming of meeting CEO A, CEO B, but doesn't actually know that you are there. There are people like you who are there, who are just a phone call away with that person that can link them to their next breakthrough. How important is networking, and how can one actually network?
Yeah. So maybe there's someone who is still starting Men of God. They're still starting a business so that you can go even to level for everyone. So maybe you are just selling just few things. For you to scale up to go to the next level, what I've seen is relationships. Even do you know there's a thin line between corruption and the person that you know?
Okay.
I'm telling you, the people who are accusing of being corrupt in this country, I'm telling you the truth. The people who are there's a very thin line. Don't try to be very spiritual and righteous about it. Right. If it is you given the same opportunity, maybe you do it differently. But you also do something almost similar. I'm telling you. Why? Because what stops you if you know Pastor Bapio and maybe you want to supply something to the media department? What stops you from saying, Pastor Bapiro, this is what I do, please, what stops you from doing that? You do the same thing, isn't it? So the same thing applies even in the corporate world. If you know the CEO of a certain bank, do you know you can apply a loan and you get it approved in 3 days? Do you know that?
Yes.
Yes, of course, the threshold will then apply depending with what? Your capacity and what you are putting in the bank. So I've done that. I use about 4 banks, personal banks that I use. And all the 4 banks, I'm in private banking. Not because I have a lot of money, no. Because I know someone. So I was invited to say, you know what, I need, and even other banks are inviting me in the private banking. I'm saying, guys, dabo.
Right.
But all the 4 banks, if I want a loan, I can just apply online, fill the forms, scan them, and in 3 days exactly, I'm telling you the truth, I'm in church. In 3 days, I'll get the loan that I want. So why? Because of what? Relationships. Because if you are to look closer, even if you are having a small business, establish meaningful relationship. Don't just hang around with people who are not adding something. Yes, we still need those people. But we are saying if you want to grow in the business side, also have people with what? That capacity to take you to the next level. Because capacity ceases to be about you, Pastor. If I'm saying what capacity do you have, it's not about you only.
Right.
It's also about the people around you. That's why we always say create capacity around you. So how do you create capacity around you? You have people who are around you that you can call. If you don't have money, you can call someone and say, hey, can I have $2,000? And they'll say, it's okay. I wanted to use it next week. I can give you, come and collect, but please bring it next week. They have bridged that gap. So that's capacity. So it means if I want to supply an order of $2,000, I will be able to supply. I have the capacity to supply. Why? Not because of myself, but because of people around you. So you need to create an ecosystem around you also of people with capacity that will help you to go to the next level. So invest in meaningful relationships. Even biblical, I think it's in Luke. If you are to look at the parable of the shrewd manager, and it's Jesus who was giving us that parable. Can you imagine Jesus himself? And he said, one day, the master went away, right? And he left a steward to manage the estate.
Yes.
And when he came back, he had a bad report. And the bad report was saying he was abusing what? Authority, right?
That's true.
And what did he do? And the manager was about to be fired. He heard that he's about to be fired. And he preempted. He was smart. And he preempted. What did he do? He went to people who were owing the what? The master. And he started what? Giving them discounts. What did he do that? He wanted to create relationships. He realized that, you know what? Out there in the world, you won't survive without relationships. So he started giving them discount. Why did he do that? So that he can survive. Because he said, I'm not able to beg. So instead of begging people to say, ndikwerete so mari, munhu hausina relationship naye, ukakumbira munhu hausina relationship naye, wakafanana nemunhu ari kubega. I'm telling you.
Right.
But if you have a relationship now, it's just asking, just a text, hey, by the way, do you have this amount of money? I want to cover something, I'll give you next week.
Yes.
And I do that a lot. Do you know even people who are so wealthy, whenever net worth are very high, one of kumbiro even $1,000. Do you know that?
Yes. Wow.
Why? Because being wealthy doesn't mean you're always liquid. You see? So always create relationships. And as kumbira munhu mari. So create capacity around you and have relationships. So you won't survive in business without relationships. That's why you find Elon Musk. When Donald Trump got into power, what happened to his net worth? It's jumped, over 50%.
Yeah, that's correct.
Why? Because he's now closer to what?
Yes.
To power. I see corruption. I'm going closer to power, and because of that, everything is what? Moving faster. So if you have a power, can you imagine if you are closer to the person? I'm in construction. Who should be my friend? So if there's someone maybe who is in construction as well, who should be your friend? A banker, right? Pension funds, and someone from city council. You should know the portfolio chairperson and approve my cluster subdivision permits.
Right.
Then what are you doing in that sector? So that a submission is not all about 4 months or even 7 months for you to get a subdivision permit. Yes. But if I know someone, I'll just say, my friend, by the way, I have submitted something. And as a believer, as a Christian, corruption. You know what? Auchauende kune mwe munhu wese wese kuti achandozokupawo mari ndiitiro zvinhu zvangu zvifambe uchirohwa pasi petsoka. But if you know someone who just call, by the way, my brother, I have submitted my documentation, can you help them to expedite? And you say, I know, don't worry, Rhinos, in 2 days. I'm sure that I've got someone I work with who is here. They know that if you can also, I know it's not, okay, but it's okay. Do you know you can get your plans even approved? Why? Because they know your capacity, your capabilities.
Yes.
You can build a house, to end up a foundation, usati wasainirwa ma stage inspection. Wozofonera munhu shamwari ndatopedza kana atopa window level weyozondisainira otongouya, because they know you can what? You meet the requirements of the city council and you have what? A relationship again. To someone I'm going to corruption. But there's a thin line. Munaruti corruption yet kakutaisa upenyu wako tikanyasa kuaudita tozoona kuti you are more corrupt from muna. I'm telling you the truth, but there's a thin line. So don't be corrupt as a believer, but create relationships and have those relationships. And still on relationships, many people, especially my believers, want to know a problem, including myself. When you are proximity to power and to someone who is helping you to go to the next stage, many people, they don't have wisdom to then sustain that relationship. So creating a relationship is one thing, but sustaining a relationship ndo pane nyaya.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they are good, wanna create a relationship, but you do, some few months, munhu anenge autoti uyu handidi kushanda naye ari deadly, ari dangerous. You get the point? Why? Because hauna wisdom to what? To understand your level. Inini, I'm telling you, I'm not perfect. But do you know, ndogonoenda kune mumwe munhu andonitoziva kuti auyu maybe in terms of vishandwa, Mwari andibless awo kupfuura munhu iyeye. But ndikaita ndinozvininipisa kune munhu iyeye. Why? Because I want to be helped. It's me who want to be helped. And even if from time to time I check on that person to say, you know what, I'm checking on you. Yes. How are you doing? Yes. Why? Because that person also helps me when I need help. And if that person corrects me, even if I'm not agreeing with what he's saying, not, I know, but we might be right. It's okay. You see, so many people we don't know how to sustain relationships. So if you are related, we have a relationship with the top CEO, understand what is it that they want. Even a gift at $20. I'm telling you, it's a secret. It will save you $1,000 a cut.
Right.
So $20, you then have that relationship. One day, my birthdays, you know what? Can you have lunch? I've done it a lot. And my team members, some of them, they know very well. Yes. I'm invited to lunch with people whom, if I mention, sometimes people, they won't believe it. Not to the restaurant, come at home to lunch or come at home to dinner. Yes. I'm telling you, why? Because, and it didn't happen overnight. Remember, I only came to Harare after I graduated at college. That's when I understood Harare, my streets and Harare. Right. Yes, I was staying here at some point when I was still at college, but my streets, it was after graduating. But I managed to create those relationships not because of family name. On my own, and to understand, you know what, relationships are important. And I started building. Once I know someone, I invest in that relationship, not only with money, with just looking at a need. By the way, by the way, this is what I've done. That's why, men of God, when I launched my book, I'm sure some here came to support my book launch. Do you know we had over 10 CEOs from banks alone? Yes. Over 10 CEOs who came for my book launch. From banks. Telecoms companies with about 3 CEOs, 2 from mobile telecoms, 1 from the fixed mobile internet. Yes. And other many CEOs from different sectors. They came for my book launch. Not because I'm that special. I'm not special, believe me. Not because I have a small body and stuff, you know. But because I've already invested in what? In relationships. So why I'm dwelling in this, you have to create a relationship and invest in relationships. So once you have created it, you have to invest in it. Just check on a person. Do you know, especially the top guys, they are so lonely up there. I'm telling you, those guys are so lonely. Hear it from me. I'm telling you, friends once a month, some of them. Unless if they go to golf, but so they don't have time to meet their colleagues. I think are busy. So can you imagine time to time checking on them, show up. Event, I remember pakati main conference, Men of God. Yes. I was one of the speakers. But do you know Gutu? My first time going kwa Gutu. Do you know Gutu? Because there was someone who is so dear to me that I look up to, and who is supporting me with hundreds of thousands, right. Supporting my business with hundreds of thousands. So that person she didn't start by supporting me. Relationship almost 3 years. From time to time check on the person. Show face. Then one day, but you know what, Rhinos, I've been working with this person for the past years, but I've made a decision going forward. I'm now working with you. I'm giving you this business, and the business I'm going to get from that person, I'm telling you the truth. In these 2 years, this year and next year, it will be over 1 million. Wow. I'm telling you from one person. But why? But I didn't spend over $300. I'm telling you the truth. But I was doing the little things, going to checking on that person. Kanane launch doenda, uzogumane ma launch ajiti, uyotaure pa launch pangu. Ndukita chakati mausa, uyoite chakati. And part of the relationship, you go to text every week. But 5 years ago, I didn't know that person. So why I'm dwelling on this as believers and as COG family, within ourselves, let's create also relationships amongst each other. And let's not take advantage on each other. Once we have that relationship, don't take advantage. For me, I don't force myself kuti akuyamba kwako or ndipe mari. Kana relationship nemunhu ndiwo andinototya kukumbira mari. But pana umwe mane deeper relationship, especially same generation, munogona kukumbirana muchibatsirana, you get the point.
Yes.
But kana vari vamwe vari very mature, vakuma 50s, 60s, who are way older than I am, I don't go and borrow from them until kuti azive ndikutsvaga mari. You know, ndokavhiridzira mazvona. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Let me give a chance to the floor. Do you have anyone who has questions? I have plenty of questions. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm learning. Can we have the mic over to Evangelist? Anyone else with a question? All right, over to you, Evangelist.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Pastor. Doc, thank you for a good presentation on business ideas. We all inspire one day to be successful business people. My question, Doc, is how can a person with brilliant business ideas and plans be able to raise finances in a very difficult economic environment like the one in Zimbabwe? You go to a bank, there's no money, no US dollars. The zig is nowhere to be found. 3 days ago, I wanted to make a transfer or make a payment at the registrar of company of 30 US dollars for company, for deeds search, but I could not get any RTGS anywhere. So how can one be prosperous under such difficult financial environment? We've got brilliant plans, brilliant business ideas. Going to the bank, the interests are too high. So what's your opinion and what's your advice for us to do business under such very difficult economic situation? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable. Yes, I concur and I agree with you. The environment is indeed so difficult for everyone, even those who seemingly are doing so well in terms of liquidity. Maybe they have assets, but in terms of liquidity, they are also facing some challenges. And I've seen it even from our side. Liquidity is a major issue. But at the same time, if you are starting a business, like what I've said, remember I gave you an example of Mr. Peach. You are saying the challenge, and not only Miss Peach, I have a brother who built a resort, and I was there last weekend. He built that resort for, I think, close to 5 million. He's a young brother. And that person, his journey, you can actually track it. Panaona ukuita mari dzekuita zvibhindauka handiti? Zvigananda. Zviriko. But at the same time, there are people who are genuinely doing business. And anga chindiudza kuti over 20 years, achitry, zvichiramba achidaiso achibuilda. But the challenge we have, we want overnight success. So it's so difficult for you to attain success if you want it overnight, unless if you are fortunate. Pana munhu ari fortunate zveshuwa, asi munhu wese chigananda. Pana munhu ari fortunate kuti achitry first time. I know someone during COVID, a very close friend of mine. During COVID, a lab, he opened a lab, and he made some millions. And he's so smart, he started investing in my properties. My properties, including my flats, over. So there are people who are so fortunate. But we are talking about the masses, the bulk, the majority. Like what you have said, the economy is so difficult and the environment is so harsh. But you need to start small. Everyone started small. I've always wanted to be in the energy sector. I've always wanted to be in construction. I've always wanted to own a hotel. From the onset, if you have to check, I registered my hotel name in 2012. Wow. But I didn't even have a single faith. One day, we registered an energy company, the Energy Plus. We registered in 2014. But we only started operating some many years later. But I started with things that I capital. And if you have a bank, I'm telling you the truth, if you have a bank, $200, start having a habit of depositing money. musabvuma upiwa mari mumaoko. I'm telling you, this will help you. Pane zvese zvandataura izvi teerera izvi. Ukati kana ushambira even $200 or $100, ise mubank.
Yes.
Musateerera unza yebank inozotora mari. Ise uchibva kunoideposa wobva withdraw. Wakangonyora pakasilipi kuti salary. Wazviona? Unongoisa woenda withdraw. Kana une company siya mari ichipinda mubank woenda withdraw. Yes, unogona lose from my charges $10 and stuff. It's okay. Why? Because it will also help you to create that goodwill for you to be given money by banks. Musanyebero mabanks anopa mari. Mukanzwa munhu anoti mabanks haasikupa mari ka haasi kuita zvandikutaura. I want to challenge any one person. I'm doing the same thing, but bank haasikupa mari. Uri consistent kudeposa mari yako for good 4 months, uchiita zvandikutaura, you can get money from any bank in Zimbabwe. I'm telling you the truth. But we have a habit yekuti tinoda kupiwa mari mumaoko, even una employer anokupa US dollars cash. Unoti andipe mari yangu. But do you know unogoenda kubank, even une school fees ewana, pane pauvhurwa zvikoro paipa, unoenda kubank paya panonzi maloans chichichi, vanocheka mari iri kupinda muaccount mako, then they will give you the what? They will give you the loan.
Yes.
So start small and ensure mari yako kupinda, your money is going through the bank, you withdraw it, you do whatever you are doing every month, you be consistent in what you are doing. If you do that, then also increase your capacity. If you have a business, start with $100, then aim next month to now have sales at $300, here 1,000, here 4,000. Can I do some sales with 5,000? It's easy. You know what? Bank DPO 10,000. Hope you are 10,000. But for us, you want to start to go to the bank, or start on bank narrow, you have never deposited over 5,000 and you want 20,000. It doesn't work like that. And believe me, money follows good ideas. Believe me, if you hear someone saying, I have a good idea, but I'm not getting money, that's a lie. That's not a good idea. It's an idea with everyone else. That is all over. What you are thinking is a good idea. Everyone is thinking about that. So it's so common that no one wants to invest in it. If it is indeed a very good idea, believe me, if you launch it even in US, you transfer from Zimbabwe and you relocate to Silicon Valley. If it is indeed a good idea, you can relocate to the US and you get millions of dollars funding. I'm telling you the truth. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for that answer. Do you have a question? I thought I saw a hand somewhere there. Now, just a follow-up, Dr. Mautsa, there's something that is very key that you raised up, the issue of respecting systems in an environment or in the trade that you are in. Can you please just elaborate or maybe repeat so that it really sinks in that we need to respect the systems that operate or that govern a certain way of doing things? Like you mentioned in the banks, if you have that relationship where you are depositing and withdrawing, that is the system that the banks work with. What other systems can you also encourage us to respect so that it can work to our advantage?
So if you have also, men of God, if you also have a company, even if it is still small, go and register at PRAZ, Procurement Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe. Go and register at, you have a government vendor number,
Right.
so that you can also go for government tenders. Depending on your sectors, be a member of a professional body. You know, there are different professional bodies. If you're in tourism, there's HAS, Prosperity Association of Zimbabwe. In construction, there's CIFOS. Be a member of that. Why? Because in CIFOS, we receive my tenders, a construction, every day. Not because, just because I'm a member, they send us all the tenders. So you have a member of a professional board. And also those professional board, when they convene to have workshops and conferences to teach people about things that are happening within your sector. So you learn faster, you become an expert, and you leapfrog those who have gone to school to study whatever that you are doing. I'm not an engineer, but I'm in construction. But believe me, I'm not a quantity surveyor. But if I sit with someone who did 5 years at university doing quantity surveying, and we do a view of quantity, I'll end up being better.
Right.
I'm telling you. Why? Because I've capacitated myself. I've gone to those workshops. I read podcasts about construction. I study to say, okay, what are new things that are happening in my sector? So these are the systems that govern now if you want to scale. If you have few money, if you don't have a lot of money, do you know some years back I used to go to study about call centers in South Africa? By bus. I'm telling you, by road.
Right.
Go to Intercape by road port. Ndokwira bus rangu ndobhadhara, it was $60. Ndoenda ndosvika ndogara muchihotel $25 in South Africa. I'm telling you, ndogara 3 days going for a conference, just learning about call centers. And that we learned a lot. And I ended up setting up almost 80% of all the contact centers in Zimbabwe. I did put them. Anyone in the call center with call centers, if you say, who can help us with call centers, just like what you are for the setup of these systems, the media side. For that, I didn't do IT. But if you ask who is the expert who can help us, they will call you, they will tell you to say, go to Rhinos. So that I've got 10 consultant works that are supposed to be done by IT people. For big companies, being paid over 50,000 per a work that I would do for 1 week. I'm telling you the truth. Why? Because I've invested in my capacity. So you need, those are the systems that will then help you to say, invest in yourself, go on YouTube. You don't need to do a degree. A degree is very important, but in your sector, capacitate yourself. Just have a security certificate. Go for those workshops. Get a 2-day certificate, many of them, so that you understand these different subject areas. Also, from time to time, I've learned so hard from the last few days, Zimura. Not the last few days, but in the past year or so, pay your taxes. I'm telling you, if you want to go far, just pay your taxes, especially if you pay, if you are registered to pay taxes. Pay your taxes. But if you don't pay your taxes, they will come after you. And also there are other things that you, within also the systems, the processes you need to put in business. If you have a business, if you are the founder, get a salary, even if it is very small. Do you know, for my first company, I set it up when I was working for someone. So when we started, what happened, I used to, for about 2 years, I was not getting a salary because I had a day job. And my day job, I was answering calls. It's a bit, but I had a company with people, about 4 of them working for me, but I was answering calls, my day job. So that's what I was doing as my first job, and got promoted. I became a manager, and things happened so fast. So those are the systems you need to understand. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Doctor. Because of our time, may you please summarize for us. One thing that I caught on to what you were saying was, you have faith. You've received words of prophecy. But after you received those words of prophecy, and with the faith that you have, you did not go back and you prayed, but you went and you did the little that you could actually do with the capacity that you had at that time. You were going by bus to study. You were registering companies for a small amount. You were registering hotels that you didn't even have money to own. But there's someone in there who has such a word, who is going to pray after they receive a word, and they are doing nothing after they receive such a word. In summary, what word of encouragement can you give them, and how can you push them for them to work in faith on the word that they have?
No, thank you so much, Pastor, and thank you so much the audience for also listening to us. And on that man of God, you remember in Exodus, when in Genesis, the children of Israel, then they were told to go, and they went to buy food to Egypt. But Israel was blessed. It was so blessed. But because they didn't have what Egypt had. So maybe you are so blessed as well spiritually, but if you don't, you just continue praying as a blessed child as you are, you remain like the children of Israel, where you end up going to beg or to look for food elsewhere. So as children of God, we don't have to go to Egypt. We are already in Israel. We have to remain in Israel. But for us to remain in Israel and for God to bless the work of our hands, faith, even if you are working for someone, just put your best effort. I used to be the first one at work. Wherever I've worked for 3 companies, big companies. And for the last company I worked with, I was in executive level, big company, at Zua Petroleum. But I'm just saying, I was always the first one to be at work. It's the principles that you teach yourself. Why? Because there are some principles that govern money in this world. So if you pray so hard and you believe God, but if you are not respecting the money principles, you continue in prayer, and God will enrich you until you are promoted to go to our final home without anything, without enjoying this home that you are at right now. So for God to bless the work of your hands, respect the money principle. Then pray for God to bless whatever that you are doing. That way you become successful.
Wow. He definitely deserves a louder round of applause. Come on. And Doctor, I'll put you on the spot again. You spoke about giving. Please take us through the giving for tonight as we wrap up our service.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, men of God. So today we are doing a marketplace millionaires, and I believe our father, Apostle Jawa, has been always repeatedly many times talking about having multiple millionaires in this church. But believe me, what I know about God is that if the declaration is made to say we are going to have many millionaires in church, even if you are not a millionaire, you become what? 100,000 near. Yes. I'm telling you, because God doesn't make a mistake. So I believe that God is going to make some people here who are believing in their vision. So start by believing in your vision. And as you are coming to seed, as you are coming to give God, you are saying, God, with the vision that I'm believing on. Amen. Why? Because if you go back, men of God, to Jeremiah, the word of God came to Jeremiah in Jeremiah 1 and said, what do you see? And he said, I see a branches in an almond tree. So today we've spoken and we are talking. It may look as if it's a business session, but I know because the man of God is praying, he's fasting for us, and he understands that it's a season. You go and talk about business. Why? Because he wants the children of God to prosper. So I want you to believe God, to say, as I'm giving God, there's an idea that I have. I want it to come to fruition. As I'm giving God, there's this idea that I had shelved because I had stopped hoping and believing in it. And reactivate that belief in me. And then it will start happening. As you are coming to give right now, just say, for the sake of my brother, if you have a brother or a relative who is in business, that you are praying for as well, just come and believe in God, for that. And I know God is so faithful. If he has done, there's few things that I believe God has just done maybe 10% for what I'm supposed to achieve. But if God has done that, I believe he's going to do more for everyone here. Because I know there are many people who are so prayerful who are here. There are many people who have been so faithful to the vision. And as you are faithful to the vision, may God be faithful to your vision as well. So let's come and believe in God. If you are not believing God, please, for today you are allowed to stay there. If your faith is not activated for you to believe God, I'm telling you, just stay there. But if you believe that God is going to change, He's going to change the work of your hands, He's going to bless even the money that you are being given as salary. Do you know you can get salary of $500 or $300 and God will bless it. Then you invest it to order something from Mbari Msika and it will multiply. It's not about big money because many people were brainwashed to think that it's about big money. God will bless you with $300 and you invest it somewhere and you multiply to $600. And you, from $600, you go to 1.2. That's how God works. And may God today come and work into your life. May God come and uplift you. May God come and bless the work of your hands. May the blessing and the mantle that is on our father, Apostle Jawa, come and uplift you and change your story. And I know God can change your story. As He has changed the story of Strife Masiwa, may God raise another Strife Masiwa from this church. May He raise another Philip Mataranyika in this church. Do you know Philip Mataranyika was a sales rep? And there's a sales rep who is in the crowd who doesn't know where his life or her life is going. May God also change your life. May God uplift you so that you start a company that will outgrow your employer. I know God can do it because He's so faithful. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Hallelujah. Celebrate Jesus. Celebrate. Amen. Thank you so much for being used by God, man of God. And I can't wait for the next time that you're coming back here and you're delivering a sermon. God bless you, man of God. So we may continue to come and give our offerings. We've come to the end of this evening's service, an impactful service. People pay thousands just to come and listen to this man. He flies all over the world for people just to listen to him. And you are in here tonight and you listened to this powerful, powerful delivery. You will never remain the same. Thank you for coming and thank you for joining us online. This is Tabernacle of Grace Church. We were live at the Grace Center. Make time on Sunday, 9 a.m. right here. This is the place to be. We may take our leave. You are blessed. Amen.